You ever have one of those days where life feels perfectly ordinary until someone decides to shatter it? That was me. Saturday morning, coffee brewing, the kind of calm where you can hear the hum of the fridge and the birds outside. And then, crash. I thought my imagination was playing tricks on me at first, but the sound came again, glass breaking, the kind of sharp crack that makes your gut twist. I froze, mug in hand, until footsteps echoed down my hallway. He wasn't a stranger. Number. Worse. It was Karen's son, swaggering like he owned the place, grinning like he just walked into a convenience store, not my home. Relax, he said, kicking his shoes off onto my rug. Mom runs the HOA. That means I can... Yeah, he actually said that, word for word. In that moment, I wasn't just shocked. I was boiling, because this wasn't random. This was entitlement, the kind of spoiled arrogance only Karen's bloodline could breed. And trust me, I'd been dealing with her HOA nonsense for months. But her son crossing the line into my house, that was war. I didn't know it then, but this stunt of his, this pathetic flex of mommy's power, was about to end in flashing blue lights, handcuffs, and one of the most satisfying moments of my life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me rewind, because you need to know just how far this family pushed before justice came knocking. I moved into this neighborhood for peace. Quiet streets, trimmed lawns, kids riding bikes without a care in the world. It felt like the kind of place where drama didn't exist, or at least where it stayed behind white picket fences. But there was one thing I hadn't factored in. One person, Karen, you know the type, the self-appointed queen bee of suburbia. Her short blonde bob cut sharper than any knife in her kitchen. Oversized sunglasses that she wore even on cloudy days, and the kind of smile that could curdle milk. She ran the homeowners association like it was her personal kingdom. Every rule was enforced with the wrath of 1,000 suns, unless it applied to her, of course. Her yard could be cluttered with garden gnomes and faded Christmas lights in April, but heaven forbid you leave your trash can out for more than 20 minutes, and guess who always received the first fine? Yep. Me, the first one was laughable grass, exceeding height regulation, the notice said. My lawn was barely half an inch taller than hers. I remember walking outside, tape measure in hand, neighbors chuckling as I demonstrated that my grass was technically shorter than hers. She watched from her porch with a smirk, sipping iced tea like a villain in a soap opera. I should have known then that Karen's HOA crusade wasn't about order. It was about control. At first, I brushed it off. I paid the ridiculous fines, trimmed the lawn, even repainted my fence when she claimed the color was too bright. It was annoying, sure, but survivable. But then her son came into the picture. He was 19, old enough to know better, but young enough to act like rules were optional. He had the kind of smug face you wanted to wipe clean with a bucket of cold water. Loud car bass shaking the whole block. Left his skateboard in other people's driveways. And yet, never a single fine, never a warning. Because you guessed it, Mommy ran the HOA. The first real incident happened on a Thursday afternoon. I came home from work to find my driveway blocked by his car. Not just parked across it. Number, nose first bumper, nearly kissing my garage door. I couldn't even pull in. I honked. He strolled out 20 minutes later, hoodie half on, earbuds dangling, waving me off like I was the problem. Relax, he said. It's just a driveway. Just a driveway. My driveway. When I told Karen about it, she rolled her eyes. Boys will be boys. Besides, he's family. You should be grateful he feels comfortable enough here to make himself at home. I bit my tongue, but inside I was fuming. Comfortable enough, he wasn't supposed to be comfortable on my property. That was just the beginning. 2 weeks later, I found my garden hose unwound across the lawn nozzle missing. The kid was outside laughing with his friends, using it as some makeshift water gun. My water, my hose, my bill. When I confronted him, he shrugged. Chill, it's just water. I started noticing other things too. My mailbox door would be left hanging open, my trash cans mysteriously overturned. Little things that seemed like coincidences, until you realized they always happened after his friends came around. And Karen, she defended him every time, one night after yet another driveway blocking stunt. I caught her in the street, wagging her finger like I was the neighborhood delinquent. You need to lighten up, she said, her voice dripping with faux concern. He's just expressing himself. You can't control everything, you know. Control, that word was rich coming from her, but I stayed calm, patient, because part of me thought if I ignore it, it'll stop. Spoiler. It didn't. In fact, it escalated. The turning point came one Saturday morning. I was out front trimming hedges when I spotted him in my backyard. Not the driveway, not the curb, my actual backyard. He had dragged one of my lawn chairs into the sun headphones on, sipping a soda like he'd booked himself a resort vacation. "Hey," I shouted, storming over. "What are you doing in my yard?" He slid his sunglasses down just enough to glare at me. "Chill, man. Mom said it's fine." HOA covers community spaces, right? Community spaces. My yard, my fenced, locked yard. That was when it hit me. This wasn't just him being a brat. This was him testing limits. Seeing how far Mom's HOA power could stretch, I told him to get out. He laughed. He actually laughed. "What are you going to do? Write me a fine." That was the moment the battle lines were drawn. Because up until then, it had been petty. Annoying, yes. Infuriating, definitely. But tolerable, but trespassing. Claiming my private yard as his, that was a declaration of war. And deep down I knew it was only going to get worse before it got better. I just didn't realize how far he'd go, because breaking into my backyard was just a warm-up. The real show, the glass-shattering cop-calling disaster, was still waiting around the corner. That was just the beginning. After that backyard stunt, things spiraled faster than I ever imagined. It started small, another fine taped to my door. This one claimed my garbage bins were not properly aligned to HOA standards. Aligned. As if an inch to the left was a crime worthy of $30. Then came the noise complaints. Not against me, against my dog. Sweet old Max. 12 years old, practically deaf and asleep 18 hours a day. Apparently his occasional bark was disrupting the peace. Guess whose son revved his car engine at 2 a.m. every weekend? Spoiler not mine, but Karen wrote me up. Twice I laughed at first, because it was absurd. Then I realized it wasn't just absurd, it was targeted. She was padding my record, building a paper trail, like she was trying to set me up as the problem neighbor and her son. He thrived on it. The more she came after me, the bolder he got. One morning, I stepped outside to find toilet paper hanging from my trees. Not the playful Halloween prank kind, the nasty sodden rolls dripping after last night's rain. He and his friends sat on his car hood across the street, laughing, pointing like they just filmed the funniest TikTok of the year. When I confronted him, he smirked. "Community spirit," he said. "You should be grateful." Grateful. For vandalism. The next week, he spray painted his name on the sidewalk in front of my house. Bright red. Like he was tagging territory. When I told him to wash it off, he shrugged. "HOA property, not yours." And every time I pushed back, Karen shielded him. "He's just being creative," she said. "You're overreacting." She said, "Maybe you're just not a good fit for this neighborhood." She said it was maddening. Like living in a rigged game where the referee was also the opposing team's coach. But the moment that broke me, the moment that turned my frustration into cold, hard determination, was the break-in that Saturday morning. The crash, the footsteps in my hallway, his smug face telling me Mom runs the HOA so I can... My blood ran ice cold. This wasn't vandalism. This wasn't pranks. This was trespassing. This was burglary. I told him to get out. He leaned against my wall, crossed his arms, and grinned. Or what? That was it. I realized ignoring him had only fueled the fire. Appeasing Karen had only emboldened her. If I wanted peace, I had to fight for it. And not with words or warnings. With action. With proof. With law. So I made a plan. I knew screaming at him wouldn't work. I knew calling Karen would only lead to more gaslighting. I needed undeniable evidence, ironclad proof. Something even the HOA queen could not twist. Step 1. Cameras. Discreet ones. Front yard, backyard, inside the hallway. All tucked neatly out of sight but angled perfectly. Every corner of my home became a movie set, and he was the star without knowing it. Step 2. Logs. Every fine, every overturned trash can every driveway stunt. I documented it all. Photos, timestamps, witnesses. A thick folder of reality to counter their fantasy. Step 3. Calm silence. I stopped reacting. No more shouting. No more arguing in the street. I smiled, waved, let them think I had given up. And the more relaxed I looked, the bolder he became. Exactly as planned. Then came the golden ticket. Saturday morning again. Like clockwork, he strutted up to my door, tried the knob, and when it didn't open, he used the side window. My window. Glass cracked, cameras rolling every second. I stayed quiet, heart pounding, as I watched him wander through my living room like he was house shopping. He opened my fridge, grabbed a soda, sat on my couch, and scrolled his phone. Casual, entitled, perfectly incriminating. When he finally noticed me standing there, he smirked. "What you gonna do?" I did nothing. Outwardly, just stared, because I knew the footage was enough. The police would do the rest. That night I filed the report, calmly, confidently. When the officer asked if I had proof, I slid the flash drive across the desk. His eyebrows shot up as he watched the first 30 seconds. This isn't just trespassing, he muttered. This is burglary bingo. The knock came on a Tuesday evening. Not on my door, on Karen's flashing, red and blue lit up the cul-de-sac. Every neighbor peeking through blinds, phones in hand recording. The officer spoke briefly, then stepped aside. Out came her sun-cuffed wrists behind his back, eyes wide. For the first time in months, Karen shrieked. There must be some mistake. He's just a boy. He didn't mean it. You can't arrest him. I run the HOA, the officer cut her off cold. HOA has no jurisdiction over criminal law, ma'am. He is under arrest for burglary, trespassing, and property damage. The look on her face was priceless, like the universe had finally told her no for the first time in her life. And the neighbors. Oh, the neighbors. Some clapped, some whispered, one even muttered finally under their breath. Because it turned out I wasn't the only target of her reign of terror. I was just the one who fought back. As they loaded him into the cruiser, he looked at me over his shoulder. That smug grin was gone, replaced with something new. Fear. I leaned casually against my fence and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Guess Mom doesn't run this neighborhood after all." The cheer that erupted from the neighbors still rings sweet in my memory. After that night, things changed. Karen tried to keep her crown, but it was cracked. The HOA board called an emergency meeting. Turns out she had been bending rules for years. Fines waived for her friends, doubled for her enemies. Records doctored, complaints buried. Once the spotlight was on her, the empire crumbled. She resigned within a month, or as she called it, stepped down for personal reasons. Sure, Karen, whatever, helps you sleep at night. Her son. Well, he got probation, community service, and a nice fat criminal record to carry into adulthood. Last I heard, he was working at a car wash in another town. Fitting, really, since he spent so much time revving his engine. As for me, my house finally became what I wanted it to be. Quiet, peaceful, safe. I still catch myself smiling when I walk past the spot where he spray painted his name. The city repaved it. Clean slate, just like the neighborhood. And the best part, my neighbors and I grew closer. Turns out nothing unites people like standing up to a tyrant in yoga pants and oversized sunglasses. So what's the takeaway? Simple. Entitlement collapses when faced with accountability. And sometimes the best revenge isn't raising your voice. It's pressing record and letting justice do the talking. Now I want to hear from you. What would you have done if Karen's son broke into your house? Drop your thoughts below. And if you made it this far, comment "justice served" so I know you're part of the squad that loves a good dose of karma. Because trust me, nothing tastes sweeter than watching arrogance turn into handcuffs.